Governor, this morning, the federal government put out some new numbers on consumer spending, pretty flat across the country. How will that, what appears to be a slowed economy, affect your agenda and the budget you signed yesterday?
I think it's a real challenge, and if anything, it suggests we've got to be more aggressive in our jobs agenda. Whether it's venture capital, whether it's looking at the possibility of things like a mining option, if it can be done safely and cleanly, whether it's looking at any other options in terms of continuing to make it easier to do business in the state through litigation and regulatory costs. Those things, I think, just point out that we've got to be aggressive. We had, I think it was a week or two ago when the story came out about the workforce development numbers for Wisconsin. Steady, rapid growth, January, February, March, April, get to May, it starts to level off. One of the things I thought was interesting in the Journal Sentinel story was the reference, the economist saying, you know, this is largely, even though the growth is going well here, it's a reflection of the impact of the national economy, and we're going to see more of that. I'd love to do things that impacted what the federal government's doing, and whether it's dealing with the debt ceiling and other things they've got to do to restore some consumer confidence, with some of the other challenges out there, but we're not going to be able to change all that. So we've got to be even more aggressive. It means pushing things that make it easier to do business here. It means being more aggressive when it comes to exports. Agriculture-based exports are up by more than 30% this year, in this year alone, 2011. We need to be aggressive and take advantage of that. We've seen tourism dollars going up by about 2%. We need to be more aggressive on that. And when it comes to manufacturing and other forms of exports we're involved in, I mean, to me, that's where our market potential is out there. You've got about, 96% of the world's population, about 2/3 of the purchasing power. We could do more through exports that would put more people to work here as well.
Do you see tax revenue dropping in the state? Is revenue giving you some updated numbers?
No, we're still in a pretty good pace right now. I mean, part of the projections the Fiscal Bureau used for the $600 million, $200 million a year over fiscal year 11, 12, and 13 came because they saw pretty steady growth. Not as rapid as we'd like, but steady growth. So our estimates in the budget I signed yesterday are pretty conservative, and even though we end with about a $300 million surplus, if anything, eating that up, we're not worried so much in terms of lost tax revenues as much as Medicaid historically costs are driven up, and corrections. Although we've had some good news, the numbers in corrections have continued to go down. We'd like to see that be steady. Obviously, that means continuing partnerships with counties around the state and alternatives out there, but I think we've been in pretty good shape there. But it's a huge concern. I mean, it's one of those where we can do everything in our power, but if the national and global economy is not clicking, we have to do more. We're not going to use that as an excuse. It just, if anything, means we need to be even more aggressive in pushing things to really distinguish Wisconsin from other states and other parts of the globe.